The biggest challenge for the global biopharmaceutical industry today is how do you find the enormous amount of investment you need to proceed with innovation that saves lives and make people's lives better. If investors don't think that there's a friendly environment for innovation, those dollars will go elsewhere. So when it comes to a whole variety of public policy issues, it really comes down to how can we focus on making sure innovation is respected and funded and continued.
If pricing gets reduced dramatically, that impacts the number of drugs that can be developed. That means there'll be fewer new therapies that get invested and then approved. And if there are fewer new therapies approved, that means there's less available for patients. So if you like the drugs we have today and you want to cap pricing, that's a great strategy to reduce costs. However, that is at the expense explicitly of future innovation.
One piece of legislation can actually fundamentally change the business of many healthcare entities and ultimately impact patient access to healthcare. For example, if we were to actually reform Part D, you could see sweeping change that would impact the way that the industry is contracting for drugs. We could see a pretty significant impact on patients out of pocket. And we know when patients are paying less out of pocket, they're more likely to take their drugs and remain healthy, remain out of the doctor's office, and remain out of hospitals.
Foreign pricing control proposals are based on a view that we need to make drugs more affordable. And I think everybody understands that. We want affordability because we see what we pay here in the US, and then there are some that are frustrated by lower prices charged in other regions. However, the danger with that legislation is then you put undue pressure on innovation.
The European market has gone effectively to a fraction of where it was because of the single payer in Europe. These governments, by putting these price controls in, have basically forced the European industry to flee, and they're all setting up shop in the US, which is the only major market that's driving global innovation.
One of the things that has disappointed me the most in my career is watching the perception of what our physicians or scientists has become. I think it's really, really unfortunate because my passion about helping patients is as strong as it's ever been in my life.
When politicians beat up on the industry, touting negative potential policies or espousing support for legislation that, frankly, hampers innovation and growth of these companies, it does create this blanket of concern or anxiety. And I think those politicians need to be thoughtful about the things they're saying in sound bites that have a real lasting impact on our market.
We live in a world where a heart attack is now something that you can bounce back from, where diabetes is something that patients live with every day, where HIV is essentially a chronic condition. And that's the type of innovation that would not be possible without the biopharmaceutical industry.
The reason that anybody works in healthcare, and certainly in the biopharmaceutical industry, is to make sure patients can get better, that patients can live longer, more productive lives. Everything else is commentary. And if we remain true to that, if we explain to people that the reason that we're in this business isn't for stock prices or options, but to make patients healthier, to keep the world healthier and living longer. Drug companies are saving the world, and we need to help them do more, do better, do it faster, do it more regularly.